Why does it seem that narcissistic abuse hurts just as much, if not more, when you're out of the relationship as it does when you're in the relationship? In other words, why is the healing journey so long and torturing and painful? We're going to explore some of the reasons together. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Before I continue, and I'll let you know that I'm here for your support, down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments. In addition to that, I do have a brand new coaching program available. It's community-oriented, and it is ready to go, and I'm excited to be a part of your healing journey. I will be with you every single day. If this sounds good to you, check the link down below. All right. Now, why does it seem that narcissistic abuse hurts more when you get out of the relationship? Number one, consider this. When you're out of the relationship, finally, you're able to process and to assess the damage that you actually have taken. When you're in an abusive relationship, you're so occupied mentally, emotionally, and physically with being engaged in the abusive dynamic that you're really not even processing the damage that's taking place, right? You're fighting like two cage fighters fighting in the cage. Both of them know they've taken hits. They're beaten up. They're bruised all over. Yet they don't really know the extent of those damages until they get out of that cage fight, and both of them get their butts to the doctor, right? And they're like, wow, dude, you bruised your ribs, you bruised this, you bruised that. And then they have to go through months and months of some kind of healing journey, right, where they're healing. The same is true when you're in an abusive dynamic, an abusive relationship, whether it's family, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a spouse. You don't know exactly what mental, emotional damage and hits you took while you're fighting, because you're preoccupied with the engagement. You're distracted by the engagement. You're in fight or flight most of the time. You're actively participating in exchanges. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to process. You're trying to outsmart. You're trying to figure out which angle to come from. And so you really haven't taken the opportunity to really absorb and look at the wounds. Oftentimes, these wounds that you're left with are a lot of mental, emotional wounds, seeds that were planted from the very beginning by a narcissistic, abusive person. The devaluing, degrading, demeaning comments. Making comments about perhaps you not looking very good. Making comments about your weight. Making comments about your intelligence. Making comments about how selfish they think you are. Making comments about how judgmental they think you are. Making inappropriate, rude gestures that are aimed at devaluing you and minimizing your value as a human being. You've taken all those hits. And so it's not until you're out of the relationship that now a lot of these hits, you see them because they're there. The seed was planted in your mind. And suddenly you look in the mirror and you see that wound. I was told I was ugly by that person. And so now you see that wound, and now that wound is actually healing. And it hurts. You're facing it. Like, I didn't know that really hurt me as bad as it did, right? That left quite the scar. That left quite the bruise. So this is one reason. You're just now looking at the injuries. Reason number one, all right? Hope that makes sense. That's a huge part of it. You're not even looking at the injuries you sustained until you're out of the relationship. Number two, the reason it hurts so bad is that not only are you looking at that abusive individual or abusive family members or abusive coworkers, the narcissistic people you dealt with, but you're now having to readjust how you view people in general, how you view yourself, what your limitations are, as far as how far will your kindness get you in this life? How far will your love get you in this life? This is a big deal for a lot of us. We come out of these abusive relationships with narcissists broken because we exhausted ourselves with trying to give love, trying to pour our mercy, our compassion, our understanding into these individuals who consumed it and took it and hated you in return. It's like you just watched it all go into a black hole. That scripture comes alive where Jesus said, don't throw your pearls before the swine because they'll trample it under their feet and then turn and tear you to pieces. And you realize you threw all kinds of pearls. In fact, you went broke. Many of you threw all of your pearls. There you go. Trampled it under their feet and then turned and tore you to pieces. So not only did you lose your pearls, not only did you lose your valuables, not only did you lose your morals and a lot of the things that you love in that relationship, but then they turned and tore you to pieces. They smear campaigned you. They ridiculed you. They criticized you. They buried you. And so you're broke. You've exhausted everything. And as a result, how do you readjust and how do you look at life differently? How do you know who to trust anymore? So that's the second part, is understanding that you've lost everything, right? Then the third part is what I just hit on, kind of I'm going to piggyback there. It's who do you trust now? You're going to go through a period now where your whole worldview is shifting. You don't even know who to trust anymore. Can you even trust yourself to make the right decisions when it comes to relationships? You can't trust your parents, can't trust your spouse, can't trust anybody. What is the word trust? Now you're even starting to try to figure out and sort out what the word trust means. Well, after all, you trusted the people you were with. You trusted those family members that they would want you to feel safe. You trusted that spouse that they would want you to make you feel safe. You trusted that these people loved you. They said they did after all. So you're starting to relook at these things like, well, trust, what the heck? What am I supposed to trust? Who can I trust? And if I can't trust my family, if I can't trust these people, if nothing that they say is true or real, well, then what else is a lie in the world? Right? So then you're going to go through a phase of not trusting the world around you. This is all a part of it. I guarantee you this, though. You can look at your healing journey as phases. Phase 1, get out of the relationship. Leave the job. Walk away from the family. That's phase 1. Phase 2, look at your wounds. Accept them. Heal them. Phase 3, allow your mind and your mental state to readjust to the world. You're rebuilding an ego, so to speak. The old ego's dead. Everything that you thought the world was and everything that you thought you were, it's dead. It's collapsed. It no longer works. The world no longer operates in that way, and you're not going to be safe thinking in that way. That has to die, and so you have to rebuild that. I mean, just now, talking with you, you can start to see why it takes so long. Why, when you get out of the abusive relationship, you're not just happy-go-lucky. And a lot of times people will say then, well, why does the narcissist get to be so happy? Why do they seem to jump on to another relationship? This brings me to the final point. Why it takes so long to heal is because you're still also occupied and attached to the narcissist. You're still looking at their social media. You're still vicariously living through their life. You're still checking in on them. You're still trying to sort them out instead of trying to sort you out. That's the biggest thing. Practically speaking, the number one thing you could do to help you heal on your healing journey is say goodbye and mean it. Block the social media. Stop talking to them. Don't look at their pictures. Don't look at who they're dating. Don't care about them. They never cared about you. Don't care about them. Because it's your care towards them and what they're doing. And to be honest, you can't even sort out what you really care about them for anyways. You know, I in my one-on-one conversations, and this is true for my life as well, it's like I don't want to be with those people. I'm not afraid of those people, so what am I still hanging on to? I think there's just a part of it where we're still trying to figure out and sort out the cruelty of the world and of people and narcissists. We're trying to sort it out. It makes no sense. It's not ever going to make sense until you realize, I just don't want that in my life, right? You've got to block these people and you've got to say goodbye because that's really going to keep you from processing any of the other stuff. The more you see these people, you got to let go of trying to hang on to that thread of hope or that thread of whatever it is you're hanging on to. You got to be able to define that actually. What are you hanging on to? When you keep looking at these people, what are you hanging on to? It's a good question, right? As I said before, I'm here for your healing journey. Down below in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments. In addition to that, I do have a brand new coaching program that's very awesome, by the way. It's community-oriented. You're going to want to check it out. It's affordable. It's my 5 years of work and one-on-one calls and coaching brought into this amazing thing. I'm excited. So check out my coaching program down below. And I'll be back with more videos, but before I do, I want you to check out this video right here because it's recommended for you. And I think that if it's recommended for you, then it might be worth checking out. So would you watch this video and let me know if it's a good recommendation for you. If it's not, let me know after you watch this video, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure you're only recommended good videos. All right, I'll be back with more right here on The Royal We.